I think ultimately, you know, accreditation and building a culture of continuous improvement, how can we do that more effectively? And accreditation really is this process of accountability and building a culture of continuous improvement. And even if accreditation wasn't there, let's imagine there was no accreditation and it disappeared and institutions were isolated and existed on their own, you hope that you would still have a culture of continuous improvement. And so how can we use AI to make the experience more focused on the analysis and improvement? If that's the goal of accreditation, and I believe that it is, building a culture of continuous improvement, how can we use AI to more effectively get to the questions and the solutions that help build a more effective culture, particularly in the field of education, is really the purpose. And so what does that future look like? You know, what does the future of accreditation look like? If, you know, AI is here, how can we utilize it and actually encourage the use of it to help improve the experience and get us more to that culture of continuous improvement for accreditation? And that's going to take some shifting. You'll have early adopters, you will have some that are kind of in the middle, and you have some that are resistors. But ultimately, if it solves a problem, then it's our job as leaders to encourage and get over the VAPE model where they reach that exhortation and roadblocks. We need to help get them over that roadblock to make progress towards the goal. That's my presentation, and I want to offer up opportunity for questions or any thoughts. But
yeah, thank you, Nathan. As on the receiving end of accreditation as a professor and school administrator, I never thought of AI, and what an excellent tool to make sure you cover everything in a more concise manner. So I think it was excellent. We do have to move on to Luciano, but any questions? That was excellent. Thank you, Nathan. Any questions for Nathan before we move on?
Nathan.
Great resources. Thank you, Nathan.
Nathan, I thought that was awesome.
Yes.
But I will tell you, because of my education experience, I got trauma when you just said accreditation.
Me too. But as principals on the chopping block.
Yes.
PTSD.
But I like the way you laid it out. That made more sense than just, hey, get this done.
I wish I knew you then. Yeah.
And that trauma, right? That trauma, we need to identify where that trauma came from. And perhaps AI can remove that trauma and for the future, sure. and how we can make accreditation a more positive experience.
Thank you.
This is Luciano. I have a question for Nathan.
Okay, Luciano.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I'm just wondering, in your experience, are you seeing the nature of the role of accreditation changing because of this technology, or is it more just adapting how it evaluates kind of the next technology within an educational organization, or is the underlying nature of the accreditation changing? Just wondering if you've observed any evolution.
Yeah, I do think accreditation is changing, and in any event, if you have an external reviewer on your campus and they don't sense that you really know what it is you're sharing, or you don't have actual evidence, and let's say it was all AI generated, when they ask you for show me that file or show me that piece of evidence and show me how you came to that conclusion, they'll really struggle. But I do think in the future, anyone that plans to use AI only for accreditation purposes without human, review and interaction. I can't imagine a leader allowing that, but that would be very problematic. But in terms of the future, I think AI is going to impact accreditation. My hope is that it will make it a positive experience because it will remove a lot of the challenges. When we think of accreditation, we think of long, tedious analysis, and we don't often get to the actual change that should cycle back and actually, affect what it is we were studying. And so I think it's going to help us get quicker to the cycle and the impact. My hope, anyway, is that people will embrace and make accreditation more efficient.
Dr. Herzog, I would also just add that AI can assist teams in analysis when you have large data sets, whether qualitative or quantitative. AI can be a pivotal tool in the in-depth analysis that's needed to evaluate programs for efficiency and productivity. So anyway, it was just thinking of that as you was presenting
Great
and
point.
way I do my own analysis.
Yeah, great point.
Right. Excellent, thank you. Luciana, are you ready to share with us about LearnHouse?
I am, yes. I'm actually located back at the, I think, registration desk area. So if you guys want to hike back over there.
Thank you, Dr. Herzog. That was nice. I dropped out for a minute. Had some Wi-Fi issues.
Oh no. Okay.
But
no problem.
Yeah, we're all good. I hope while I was off, you didn't have any issues.
No, I didn't have any tech issues.
Great.
That I'm aware of.
Perfect. And we're saving, so all of this is being recorded too, and then we'll edit the highlights, and so you can, use any of it in your own post.
I forgot to invite people to connect, but hopefully they saw that I didn't.
Yeah. Let's head over to Luciano's in the middle there.
Yeah.
You don't see yourself, but it turns you to face the audience. But either way.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you all very much, everybody. Really appreciate everybody's time. It's been super interesting to hear all the different perspectives. And so my name is Luciano Oviedo. I'm the CEO of a startup called LearnHouse. A little bit of context, we're super early stage. We finished an accelerator called Techstars about 1.5 years ago, and we went straight into just build, test, iterate mode. And so this year we finished kind of what I called doing our second round of a hypothesis testing. And so I'm kind of share a little bit of a snapshot on some of those learnings. But what I really want to try and do is provoke more questions amongst us with you around the idea of what does it mean to learn and work in the future world of AI or in the current world of AI. I know we've heard a lot of different perspectives. The last presentation was excellent, kind of contextualizing like in terms of the role of AI in education for accreditation. And so the question we're asking ourselves, or by the way, a quick introduction of myself. I grew up as an engineer at Intel, worked in new product development, business corporate strategy, and then I left to do my research on the impact of emerging technologies, and particularly in the field of education. And so you'll kind of sense as I go along kind of this blending of what I like to call action research on the one hand, kind of provoking kind of the creation of new perspectives and knowledge. And on the other hand, straight up product development in designing, implementing software and technologies. And so what we're building is what we call machine learning for human learning, and particularly deeper learning. So the first provocation I'd like to offer you is around mind versus brain. I'm not sure if some of you saw the Nobel Prize presentations, but one of the winners, John Hopfield, kind of was presenting kind of just, the evolution of his research and how he got to where he got. And one of the slides that I thought was really interesting was around, how the mind emerges from brain is, to him, one of the deepest questions posed by humanity. And so that just really struck a chord with me, because I think if you kind of look back on what we've been hearing in all the various presentations, it's kind of each person, I believe, kind of brings their own perspective and experience around, well, what does it mean to learn? What does it mean to think? And, to what extent is this interplay with technology changing how we think about what mind versus brain means? And so you can kind of look at it from either, depending on which community you come in or body of knowledge you come from, education, psychology, cognitive science, philosophy, you'll probably answer that question differently. Now, there may be some similarities, but on the whole, I would argue that we, because of being, educated and trained, so to speak, around a certain body of knowledge, we tend to interpret the question, and therefore almost implies how we would answer. And so that's one of the things I want to ask you to reflect on, is how is your individual education and training journey, regardless of how it manifested itself, how does that potentially influence your worldview around how you think about mind versus brain, or even things around what is the role of an individual in asking questions around the role of technology in their particular business or organization. So for me, this Nobel Prize presentation was kind of one of the kind of interesting kind of signal that I think a lot of people are asking themselves that same question. So the next thing I would like to provoke in you is like this question of machine sentience. So imagine a world where machines are sentient. Sentient meaning aware, conscious. And funny enough, yesterday I was presenting to some high school students for a separate initiative with junior achievement, and I just kind of asked the students, like, hey, first of all, I was like, well, what does sentience mean? And then awareness, consciousness, talk about that. And so it was really interesting to hear kind of different perspectives on whether or to what extent does a person believe that a machine could ever be sentient. And so, I mean, I ask it not because I'm trying to assert that will ever happen, but I'm asking it as, if you kind of take the plausible future kind of methodology and approach, that these plausible futures are coming at us, and in one of those futures there is some notion of machine sentience coming to existence. What does that world look like? What does it mean for us? What does it mean for humans to work and co-create with machine intelligence that it itself believes it is sentient? And so, I think one of the most famous people that kind of begged this question was Alan Turing, right? And I'm sure most of you are familiar with him. British mathematician, really famous for a lot of different things. But one of the things that he um, um, developed was kind of this idea of a Turing test, which we still talk about today. And here I just kind of cut and pasted some descriptor around it, but it really was around the perception of the observer, right? It's this remote human interrogator, as he called them, within a certain time frame, being able to distinguish whether it's a computer or a human subject responding to questions from the human interrogator or observer. And so there's a few interesting things here. It's like, well, first, it goes back to kind of relative to the observer. And so if you're familiar with relativity theory, it's all relative relative to the observer, literally. And so this is kind of a version of that before, or around the same time, actually, that Einstein was coming up with his theories. But his relative to observer was, you have a human observer interacting with some system, or let's say a black box. You don't know what's behind it, and you're submitting interactions, prompts, if you will. And to what extent can the observer understand whether it's a machine or a human? And so I just find that kind of a really interesting phenomenon to consider because, well, if you think about kind of the emergence of something as simple as ChatGPT, if you didn't know it was a prompt, if you didn't type things into it, if you weren't told, how many people would actually believe that that was a human or not? So it's just something to think about in terms of at what point does the technology become so sophisticated that we cannot, the average person cannot interpret whether it's a human or a machine. And at what point can we classify that interaction as saying, well, I don't know, but I believe that whatever is interacting with me is sentient, it's aware of itself. And so I offer that to you as another cognitive food for thought, is because I like to anchor when I'm considering product development this particular scenario, because then if you are aware of kind of the kind of design thinking world, you kind of design for extremes to kind of develop certain kinds of MVPs and prototypes and whatnot to kind of help you think through different kinds of corner cases in the product development. Then I like to think about this one. Imagine a world where machine intelligence is sentient. And so how can I design a system that empowers humans to be competitive in that world, in partnership with this machine intelligence? And so I ask you to consider the same. What are the futures you're building towards? And more importantly, why do you build towards that future? So now I'm going to transition to kind of a little bit of the work that I'm doing. I'm on the action research front. And so I was really intrigued to kind of just try and understand the interplay between all the different worldviews, right? You read the popular press and you'll get, when you ask someone, hey, how do you feel about AI? What does the future look like? If I say, hey, imagine this future of machine intelligence and it's sentient, I would argue that most people fall into two different camps. One camp is the dystopian worldview, and the other one is the utopian. And so I started to kind of do some qualitative work around, rather than saying dystopian, I would say, well, what are your concerns and what are your excitements around that? And so here's what I started to see. Right? Really, I started to talk to different leaders. These are all senior executive at different companies and organizations. And I started to see some really interesting phenomena. And people started to break down into, say, three different camps. One camp, it was highly dystopian or lots of concern, very low excitement. The other camp is highly utopian or excitement and no concerns at all. And then everybody in the middle, like, oh, I'm kind of excited, but kind of concerned. I'm not sure. And so, this is what I started to see. Top concerns were around social manipulation of algorithms, privacy, lack of transparency in these systems. In terms of excitement, I think I missed a digit there on productivity. It's probably 70 something percent. So productivity is one of the top excitements, smart tools, data processing and synthesis. And there's a whole string of these things, right? I'm showing a snapshot here. But to me, the really interesting way of looking at this is that it's not one or the other. It seems to be this: how do I, as an individual, depending on where I am, whether I'm in a public organization or a private organization, if you go back to the talk about the adopter profile, if I'm a laggard versus an innovator, whether I have a higher education versus no education, whether I have lots of years of experience, subject matter expertise, or domain expertise, like the concerns and excitement tends to actually be highly fragmented. And so to me, the interesting thing is to consider that in the world of product development, and whether it's in education or workforce development or economic processes and practices, to be able to navigate this fragmented landscape of this simultaneous concern and excitement that is totally fragmented depending on where those individuals are. And so, so I offer this as food for thought. And so the way I'm trying to get my brain around this is by trying to create deliberate processes for how to start to triangulate. Is there an organizational culture that lends itself to start to triangulate on, maybe they have more concerns than excitement, or vice versa? Or is it more of an individual unit of analysis? And so that is one thing I offer you to consider is to what extent are the communities you're working with, or organizations or individuals, to what extent are they consistent around one of these points of views, and how can you become more deliberate around how to navigate this? And so kind of leading into what we're working on. So if you imagine this future world where machine intelligence exists, I envision in this future world that how we learn will be rewarded more than what we learn. And so historically, I would argue that since the Industrial Revolution, we as a society have rewarded subject matter expertise. Think engineers, scientists, doctors, instructors, whatever, right? Most roles that are, or any, the level of reward tends to be a function of the scarcity and the demand for that role, anchored on around subject matter expertise. So for example, physician, right? So not a lot of them, so pretty scarce, and pretty high demand because of healthcare. So they tend to be probably the most highest paid, versus, somebody else. And so on the other extreme end, right, where there's very little demand, or there's very low scarcity. And so what I see happening in this future world of machine sentient is this emergence of what we're calling deeper learning expertise, meaning that it's if you think of subject matter expertise as something around what we learn, right? I learn a subject. I am tested and evaluated for of what I know of that subject, right? Think of all the evaluation techniques that are used in public and private education: GPA, certifications, licensure, you name it, right? It's all subject matter based. The challenge is, is that what's going to matter next? And so in the future that we see, we think what we call deeper learning expertise, it will matter as much, if not more. And that is how we learn. And so what do I mean by deeper learning? What's that?
Time check.
Time check. Okay. How much time do I have? 5 minutes? 1 minute?
You're over.
Oh, I'm up. Okay. Let me just fly through this. So here's some deeper learning evaluations that we've seen. Critical reasoning, strategic problem solving. We're seeing these as super high value by top executives, saying this is what they believe matter in this future world, what they're looking for in either recruiting future talent as well as promoting internal talent. And so that's what we see as kind of the future of learn and work. And this is what the types of capabilities that we're building. We are doing what we call machine learning for human learning. So we're building a stack, if you will, that engages with different partners to be able to give them the ability to perform education training skills and growth and development around these areas. And here's just kind of like a quick use case of how the flow works. And we are in particularly testing in work-based experiential learning. And unlike other kind of models where we kind of see ourselves as kind of Fitbit, but for deeper learning, we help people track their brain steps, so to speak. And so the visual you see to the right is kind of an example of us producing an individualized score and as well as recommendations, analytics around someone's critical reasoning. And we're seeing improvements on the order of like 45% over the course of like a semester or a quarter through these interactions. So thank you very much. I'm Luciano. We're looking for partners, mentors, advisors. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luciano. I'll definitely be reaching out. That is, I guess my pet peeve is the surface learning. I'm always preaching the deeper learning. So definitely want to know more. Thank you. Any questions for Luciano?
Hey, Luciano.
Yes.
If you can submit a PDF over to me, I'll put it in here so they can download that presentation.
Got it. Thank you.
I'll put my
Okay, our
email.
next slot was not a, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'll put my email in the chat for you.
Oh, Jay, did you want to introduce Rena? Did I say her name correctly?
So Rena,
okay, good.
Let's head over to Rena's presentation over here, back by.
It's over a bridge somewhere.
Other space.
If you're looking at the agenda where she's taking Maya's place, and I'm glad she's glad.
Well,
she's
I changed
here.
the agenda too, so it has.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, awesome. Way ahead of me. Thank you.
So yeah, if we head over here. I'll wait till everybody comes in. Over by the catapult courtyard back here, everybody. So got a few folks if you guys want to make your way over here. Hey Blake, you can just head into this blue box up over here. And Kim, you can head over to the blue box.
Go out the side, Kim.
All right, Rena, we're waiting for a couple more people just to come over before we get started. I'm going to move this out over here. I don't know if you want to.
I have like till 11:55 my time, right?
Okay.
6 minutes left.
Glad you're here.
Okay. There's your podium. Right? If you want to go behind the podium, if you'd like. Up to you.
Do you can you tell me what time you want me to talk till now?
Yeah. Take the 20 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
I think this is a hugely important community that you guys have built, and I think it's really important to hear about it. I'll cut time out of my presentation a little bit.
Okay. So I'll get started. Thanks everybody. Dr. Rena Walsinger. I spent the last decade doing machine learning and then XR and AI. My last job, which started at the beginning of the pandemic, was as the chief academic officer at Eon Reality. And my current, I'm kind of laughing because my current crew here, I'm also a temporary fire evacuation zone for LA. So I got a bunch of kids in my house. So that's the background noise. Currently I'm the technical director at Eduvators. And what I learned in industry was I did learn about, implementing AI all over. We're in over 100 countries, and I wanted to kind of democratize that to individuals at colleges and provide resources on the ground. And so Eduvators was born. It's been there for quite a few years, but I came in this last year to help, whether you're a faculty or administrator or staff at either a K-12 or higher ed institution, to how to know about AI, how to talk with other people about AI, and then get certifications that make sense for educators.
Sorry, Rena, real quick, on the bottom bar, can you click your megaphone?
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Better? Oh, okay.
Yep, much better.
All right, there we go. So this first slide talks about our ecosystem. Hopefully you can see that, and I think you can download these too. So I just have just like 3 slides, but so we know that it's challenging for faculty. Most faculty are still not that familiar with AI, and depending on what you're teaching, like if you're doing writing, then it's basically a problem for you at this point. So we developed a place to learn about AI and XR, mostly AI, and also providing a lot of resources for things like grant writing or finance or promotions and other things that go on at a school. So we have a lot of digital downloads, prompters, playbooks, all kinds of things you could see on that slide. And then there's about 100 courses. I would say they're short courses in different things and categories like language learning models, audio and video, image generation. And then there are learning pathways. So, and those are leading to certificates, and we're partnering with Credly on those. And so you can get certified in storytelling, and then all of the different AI tools so storytelling and with this AI assisted, or maybe you're doing, course improvement, or maybe you are working on accreditation that we just talked about or something like that. So that's what all of these things are. And then over the last year, we've realized it's really led by training and workshops. And then these are a lot of supporting courses to go and do continuous learning. And so we have an active front end with training and community engagement. So let me swap to this next one. So there's something that we've done that's very different in terms of resources and implementation and continuous support. And it kind of started with us using Discord. And Discord is something that my students have used for years, where if you haven't been on there, it's I have about 20 different companies on my Discord, but it's where I started to learn about the new generation of language learning models and image generators. But it's basically a community, and it's on the outside. So we made a community inside of Eduvators where you can go in and then talk about the latest things or things that you've created or questions. And AI is changing so fast, so we feel like that community is really important, and that's like a safe environment to do this inside of the Eduvators platform. And so let me go over here. So we have in that community, there are workshops and live engagements, live events, private discussion groups, and we have discussion groups that can be just a single institution or a series of institutions. So that's totally customizable along the way. So we'll see how they develop and then customize them on there. We have a lot of what's new information. So there's a video series, we post in the community and also in public on what's new in AI, and that's it seems to be super active because things are changing so fast. And I guess what's different about our stuff is it's really geared for educators and content creators. So like if you go get certified in like how to use AI or basics of generative AI from Google or IBM or something, those are good. And I've done those as well, but they're not geared for like what we do is in the education business. And so ours are geared for that. So it makes more sense. So, in our industry, we may not need to define the difference between machine learning or something like that, but we may need to know like how to do accessibility when you're doing images, things like that educators need to know. So there's podcasts and videos along with all of the courses and the coaching and mentoring. So that's the community. The implementation support, we've been at many universities everywhere doing workshops and demonstrations. And then that leads, so far it's been very successful where we start with a group and then it tends to go on to a bigger group and more groups. And so it looks to me like institutions are this year looking at much wider adoption and policy and support for including AI and how to use it, how to do it properly and safely, and what are the strategies and trainings and kind of the frameworks around there. So it's going to be a busy year for us, I think. We've developed toolkits and checklists for institutions to just already go ahead and download and start using policy guidance and so forth. Also, I should mention my main other partner was the vice president of the Bill Gates Foundation. So she's a pretty incredible resource on understanding this landscape and in fact funded a lot of the work that I've done myself as an educational leader in the past decade. So anyways, we are located at eduvators.net and we're growing constantly. So, and one of the questions people ask me a lot are like, how do we keep up with this? So we have a small team, but we do update all of the courses on a continuous basis. And we did spend the entire break updating everything. So we put in a few hundred hours and it's all updated as of January 25 because it does change pretty quick. So we're kind of the people who kind of were the how to do things from the ground. And my background as a digital media professor, like this is a super comfortable area for me. So I'm just having kind of an amazing time doing all this stuff. Oh, thank you for doing that. I see that's moving. Okay. And then we have we decided to sell individual courses or have memberships and institutional or individual memberships. And that's because we do have people from all over the world in there. In fact, half of our customers are international. And so a lot of people will go in there and then they want to know like 10 specific things and they'll go into those courses. Other places want to do something for a department or a classroom or institutional. So we made it a little bit more flexible, and that's on this next page. And everything is just depending on the size of the project on how that works. But you can go on there and just grab a course, or you can get a monthly membership, and then, and you can change that at any time as well. So going back, let's see if I can do this. I don't know how to make it go backwards because the arrow's not showing. But
okay, here. Sorry about that. Yeah. Hold on one sec.
It's okay. So Jay, do you want to say anything about the communities in there?
Oh, I do. I would love to actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna hand it to
Eduvators, we began working with them because one of the things that we had realized as a company in this space with XR was that there was no dedicated community for different groups of educators to come together specifically around support for each other. Not only just being able to ask questions, but not of a company, not of a coach or consultant, but literally asking questions of themselves. And when we began 2024, we kind of designed a network idea And then we came across Eduvators and said, wow, the community is starting right here. And so we jumped in and started talking with them and talking about the content that XR and AI are inevitably going to come together, which I'll talk a little bit more about in my conversation. But the community part is what's really important. So if you know any educators, please have them sign up on the Eduvators and come together in this community. And if you click on that middle screen, you can go straight to the link to check out more. Please share the link. And we really want to grow this group up to be able to depend on each other. But also, I'm really excited about the certifications that are coming for educators in this field.
Oh, there you are. Thanks so much. I can't get the arrows to operate. I was going to flip back one, but maybe you can do that. But yeah, so it's a different idea because I guess after being an educator for so long and then working as a vendor and then realizing like, some stuff isn't filtering all the way down to the educators on the ground. That's how we created this ecosystem. And so really excited. The courses look amazing. We spend a lot of time embedding avatars and 360 things and 3D. So doesn't look like at all like Canvas. It looks like we're here today in a more modern environment, easier to digest and interactable. So I think it looks pretty cool. So that's all I had for this.
I would love to have a little discussion and see what people think about having a community like this. And if there's any tools that they would suggest to get that community talking with each other more, because there's a lot of experts here in the room.
Yeah, definitely.
I absolutely would like to chime in. I think this environment that we have here in Consilience as a collaborative space would be something that would be very much supportive of the Eduvators ecosystem. I know that we're online and different social media, but this allows for synchronous through remote locations. And so having this as a live, ongoing meeting space that anyone can use at any time by going through the collab, if we can just host this for Eduvators and the work that's going on with each of the speakers, that's kind of the dream, is that this collaborative can continue, not just in an event format, but actually be able to come to work here in almost like a virtual co-working space. That's the hope for this development, and hope you enjoyed the conference. And thank you so much, Eduvators. You guys are absolutely teaching me how to be a better distance educator. I've learned so much from you, Rena, personally, as I follow you and try everything you show. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I wanted to add in a few points as well to your question, Jay. I did some internship work, a little bit, kind of like this company a little bit. But one thing I think that could help out a lot, especially honing down on you guys' target audience, is in for a partnership. So whether that be like a school, or maybe you do like a gel, or some type of group, maybe like the Boy Scouts, things of that sort, so that you can measure your impact, because it's definitely being in this metaverse. You see, there's a lot of different things people want to do with AI, so kind of just honing down and using it for a specific group can help you have a greater impact and also get to that greater impact quicker.
That sounds really good. I like that. Thank you. Any questions about like the content in there or things you guys are trying to learn, or because I do get a lot of teachers where like, especially K-12 that are just like, oh, this is great because, we're not quite learning about all this stuff yet on our job. So anybody else?
And a few things, if you guys are speaking, make sure your megaphone's on. Blake, it was just quiet. I heard everything, but it was just quiet. Secondly, I'd like to just ask, like, tools. If you're an educator and you see these classes on here to take for PD, what other like complementary tools with AI, like grant writing or an immersive space like this that's built in, embedded in the Eduvator site, anything else that you guys might think of that would be really helpful for educators to have a site to go to and depend on each other and have tools?
I can speak to that as a curriculum marketer. I think a lot of the principals are trying to staff their schools during a big teacher shortage, and they may have a second career person who has never taught. And the words plug and play. So anything that where somebody could come in and maybe not even with a teacher background, that could come in and do it. So in my writing part, I had to make the curriculum friendly to people who are just walking into a classroom for the first time. So that might be something to consider.
So plug and play is terms of marketing the content?
No, plug and play is something you can market for a school leader, saying it's very user friendly to somebody who's walking in brand new, never taught before, or they're fresh out of the university, because that's where we are. There's a major teaching shortage out there. So that seems like that's been the selling tool, that they can hand it over to the teachers, and it's very user friendly.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question just around hindsight. Looking back from your journey, Raina, what would you say that you wish you had known when you started the process? And how have you dealt with your AI novice staff?
You mean, so starting the process of educators? Or learning about AI?
Working with AI and in educators in general. Just
so, I mean, I've been on the leading curve of AI, so maybe I think at first, just knowing where to learn things was a bit of a learning curve, but really learning about, who the best content creators are and teachers out there for people like me. So that's, that was like super helpful. And then also, I think, I'm learning about kind of the international ecosystem, which I've done on the corporate side, but, with a big marketing team. So I'm learning about marketing that from like a smaller team, internationally. So that's been pretty interesting. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that the main thing I do for me, and of course is my background in media, is, I learn like many things a day from those learning sources, and I have all the top resources that I follow, but I do spend hours a day, but I love it, learning how to do certain things. Like I learned recently how to create character backgrounds and storyboards, which I already do in my digital media life, but with AI, and then creating consistent characters and being able to tell a story. So that's a certification that I'm writing. And that, I think just the time that it's taking is something you have to really love. And I really love it. But I think that's my job, right? To curate the things that we need to know as educators and develop certificates that will help us on our jobs. And then, provide the resources to learn about those, because it's, with your teaching full time, there's zero chance you can spend that much time doing what I'm doing right now. So that's kind of hopefully that's what I'm doing for folks, is curating, getting the materials together, and then providing that in an easily fun, digestible way.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Sure. You're welcome. I guess there's one other comment I can make on that, is you can't do everything. So I think getting the partners that are good at all the other things, like, finance, marketing, business sides of things. I'm a faculty creator, so getting that right team together is pretty critical for doing this type of project, and keeping it super reasonable for educators, because that's what we like.
Very true.
Yeah. Any other questions? So if you are in that realm of wanting to learn this stuff, feel free to go on my LinkedIn and message me, and any question, happy to answer. So, but really fun. Thanks for being at my little billboard here. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, of course.
Certainly we'll link in. And if there aren't any more questions, we could move on to Blake.
All right.
Livingstone, starting a successful nonprofit.
And Blake's back in the middle.
Oh boy. Okay.
I think, right?
Hello?
Yep.
Okay. I had to use the restroom.
No worries.
We don't have any restrooms in the metaverse.
No bio breaks in the metaverse.
We don't have any bathrooms.
I was looking for the bathroom. If everyone wants to gather over by Livingstone.
In the middle?
Towards the middle.
Yeah. I think Debbie and Jeff are making their way over here.
Want to take a look at some of the visuals or just some of the work that we've done, some high vibrational moments. We have pictures from the Philadelphia branch, the Atlanta branch, and our Hoops for Homelessness tournament. Seems like everyone's over here, so we can get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Blake Beauvais. I am a 22-year-old CEO of Livingstone Nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit organization I started my sophomore year in college to focus on alleviating homelessness. Kind of just gonna give you guys a brief introduction about who I am. And that's kind of important. Knowing who I am, you'll be able to connect to see why I do what I do. So I grew up in West Philadelphia. My community kind of shaped my values and taught me the importance of empathy, but also resilience. My parents did a good job. I'm trying to keep me busy growing up, in West Philadelphia. You can get distracted in things that aren't of the right sort. So shout out to my mom that's actually here today, the blue robot. Appreciate you, Mom. And my dad that's here in spirit. He's at work. They did a good job just keeping me busy, So I was real involved in the basketball. I did Boy Scouts till I didn't like it anymore. I also, tried to do like bowling and stuff. But basketball seemed like always my thing. So growing up, I kind of came into a pivotal moment with adjusting to a new family dynamic, but also learning how to be myself, learning how to grow and implement my growth. I ended up having to leave an institution I grew up at since kindergarten, my sophomore year. And that was, in the moment, probably a groundbreaking moment for me, but it was the start of something great. My next year, I attended Kobe Bryant's rival school called Heritage High School, and I played varsity basketball. I also got honor roll my first semester. I never got honor roll my entire life in middle school, lower school. So I was very proud of that. Um, I went to my new school, I flourished there, and then I got the opportunity to go to Morehouse. My senior year of high school, I was named senior basketball captain. So you could say I was pretty good. Um, I had a couple basketball offers, but playing college basketball was probably one of the hardest decisions of my life because I owe a lot to basketball. I always say basketball saved my life, you know. Um, but I decided to not play basketball in college only because I felt drawn to Morehouse. I didn't know what I wanted to do, um, what I wanted to become, any of that sorts. But I knew that my legacy would be bigger than Martin Luther King Jr.'s, and he actually graduated from Morehouse. Um, so I'm currently a senior there. I'm in Atlanta studying communication studies. Being at Morehouse has not only refined my leadership skills, but also deepened my understanding of how we can connect and support one another. Um, Growing up, you know, I saw people in my community struggling with homelessness, uh, family members, my own personal experiences through my family. And it struck me how easy it is to become invisible to society. A conversation with someone who is experiencing homelessness made me realize that you didn't just need material help, they needed to feel seen, heard, and valued. You know, sometimes I tell people, you know, you don't have to do the most when we're going out to help these individuals. They're just people like us. Sometimes um, food, clothes, a snack, a warm meal, and just a friend is all they need. Uh, my internships have been a pivotal role in helping me turn this passion into action. Uh, During my internship this summer, actually, with Dr. Jeffrey and 11th Talent, I developed a chatbot to connect with people experiencing homelessness with resources like shelters and food programs. This innovation is now part of the Lovingstone app, which I'll be introducing shortly. So, Lovingstone started with a simple but profound mission to provide practical help and hope to those experiencing homelessness. We began by organizing small initiatives such as distributing food and clothing in Atlanta. So, kind of just a little backstory. My 11th grade year, or my junior year, excuse me, my junior year at Morehouse, I finally was able to curate my first community service event in partnership with the Gateway Center. Now, the Gateway Center is an actual government shelter in Atlanta, Georgia, which used to be an old corrections facility. So the individuals actually experiencing homelessness in that facility live in the old jail cells, but the jail cells don't have bars on them. They kind of just have like sheets to cover up. So being in that environment, this is seeing people's two pairs of shoes, three pairs of shoes, four shirts, four hats, you know. Um, it was a lot, you know? It was definitely a lot, but I was very grateful to be able to bring that partnership and have some of my AUC brothers and sisters, that's Clark Atlanta, Spelman, Morehouse College, and Morris Brown, getting some of those individuals to come out to that community service event, and through that, we cleaned up organized their clothing donations, organized their hygiene closet. We made meals with the chef. So it was a very great turnout. Fast forwarding, we were able to complete another one of that. And then that summer, I actually didn't come home back to Philadelphia. I stayed down in Atlanta and I planned the Hoots for Homelessness tournament, which was a great turnout. That took a lot of effort, a lot of sleepless nights, and a lot of money out my pocket. But it was all worth it, for sure. It was actually really fun. And we were able to bring together some big fish organizations, but also, you know, small organizations and also other nonprofits that matter, you know. I have one nonprofit organization I partner with, Glacier's Italian Water Ice. They sell water ice, but they also have a mentorship for young African American boys in Atlanta. So we had the water ice there. Overtime sent us some gear, and I actually had an overtime elite coach bring her nonprofit that focuses on athletes, grades, and getting to college to play sports come out. And she bought her men's professional team, and they did a great job and turned the gym up. So it was a great turnout. It was a great turnout. Since then, Lovingstone has grown. We now operate in cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. With support of college students, we're changing the culture within universities. Uh, One reason why I wanted to start Lovingstone, excuse me, is because at Morehouse, community service was kind of exclusive, you know. Um, there's something called the Bonner Scholars, which is the highest type of scholarship you can get at Morehouse. And because I wasn't a part of the Bonner Scholars and my close friends were, I couldn't go to the weekly community service events of them reading to kids and things of that sort. So you're kind of left with, okay, the culture with the smoking, drinking, and partying. It was something that was never fulfilling to me, and it's something I don't identify with. I've always felt I've been different, and God kind of showed me to step into my light. Uh, Moving on into introducing the Lovingstone app. When God first sent me the vision of Lovingstone, He said, "Don't only create the on ground work, but also have the technological side." And when you put those two sides together, I believe I will solve a world problem one day. So the Lovingstone app is designed to support individuals experiencing homelessness in the Atlanta area or any area, helping them find essential resources such as shelters, food drives, clothing distribution events, and other social services. The app the app's mission is to provide real-time, reliable information and easy navigation to local resources, ensuring those in need can access critical assistance without delay. Uh, so moving on, some of the key features of the app, which is pretty cool, uh, is we have our geolocation tracking. So you can mark the relative location of the person that is experiencing homelessness. And what that does is that sends a location ping to Lovingstone, other shelters that are trying to help, but also volunteers like you guys that just want to help out. And from there, you can mark what you did, bought them some food, clothing, water. And, you know, sometimes, hopefully one day soon, you'll be able to take them 2 blocks up the road to a Lovingstone shelter nearby. Uh, Moving on, you have your threads details. So I know in a lot of people's presentations, they were wondering how can you keep people engaged on my AI platform? How do I keep people wanting to use this? Uh, what I did was I built off the geolocation tracking and I thought about, hey, what are the big apps that we use today, such as Twitter, such as Instagram? So people like things that you can interact with. So you can post your community service events, you can post the events you've been at, you can post your thoughts. People can respond to it, comment, like it. So keeping the people engaged, you know. Uh, the next thing is your home. So becoming a volunteer and kind of just navigating the ins and outs of your area and what homelessness looks like in your area. Uh, we're kind of working on a few features. We plan to integrate more resources and develop features like job placements and assistance, and also mental health support. Uh, but the groundwork has been in progress. A lot of time with the app comes from um, analyzing the feedback from the communities we serve. So understanding the ins and outs from the individuals that we help, understanding their hearts, their minds, um, why they're in the situations they are, their stories, but also, okay, how can you get out of this position, and how can we help you get out of this position? Um, Notice we're not saying we're just trying to do it all for you, but we're helping you get out of this position. By making resources more accessible, we hope to empower individuals to take steps towards stability and independence. Excuse me. The app isn't just for those experiencing homelessness. It's a tool for communities to engage, learn, and support the fight against homelessness. Uh, Ultimately, our goal is to build a network that uplifts people one connection at a time. So, incorporating large corporations like Chick-fil-A, but small corporations like your neighborhood corner store, and also individuals that want to help. Fostering a platform that all these individuals can connect and to help out with helping out and expressing love in the world in a way that's not common. A lot of times people do the bare minimum of, okay, we'll just donate to your organization yearly, but you're not seeing where that money goes. You're not seeing the smiles that the impacts on these people's faces. So um, getting down uh, in the field, 10 toes down, I think is the best way. And incorporating AI technology into that, I know there we can definitely solve a world problem in a pivotal time. I do want to open up the floor for any questions. I do also, after the questions, I do have a special treat for you all. A video I do want to give some insight on and also share with you all.
Thank you. That was amazing. Inspiring.
Great journey. Thank you for sharing so much.
Absolutely. I'm thinking, and he said he was 20 years old. I'm thinking when I was 20, my only vision was where I was going to go out the next day. That's just incredible. The calling.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I turned 22 in August, so
Okay,
I
you're 22, but still, oh my
yes.
gosh.
But I do want to open up the floor for any questions, whether that be personal or about the app.
During your education, what was the most impactful part that inspired you? Was it being in the community, or was it something a teacher did, or in school? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's probably the summer after I got kicked out of the institution I was at from kindergarten. That summer, my uncle had passed away, and then 2 weeks later, my aunt had passed away, and then following that, my dad stopped breathing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then later on that night, I got into a really bad car accident with my family. Got hit by a drunk driver, and I was in physical therapy probably for the rest of the summer. And this was going into my junior year of high school. So that kind of after that moment, kind of just through my experiences, God just kind of just yoked me up, kind of you could say, and I'm able to hear God. I'm able to feel God. So I never am out of doubt of what to do or what to get done or where to go. I just kind of just listen. So that was probably a pivotal moment and kind of set me up for coming to Morehouse. That way I'm able to facilitate Loving Stone for individuals not only coming from Philadelphia from Morehouse, but also coming from other places all over. I got I also have team members that are from 18 years old at Clark Atlanta, but also 30 years old with kids, you know, working a
Mhm.
9 to 5. So that extends my leadership. It reminds me that I, it's bigger than just myself. I always say to everybody, you know, when I'm interviewing people or team members are interviewing people, um, when I'm on team meetings, I always tell people, um, thank you for taking the initiative to be a part of something bigger than yourself. I mean, that kind of just is I'm just reminding you that it's bigger than all of us. You know, a lot of people get caught up in their everyday needs and desires, and you don't stop and be grateful that you can take a shower, that you can put on socks, you can
Yeah.
go in your car. So uh, just kind of seeing the people that we help and how grateful they are for, you know, a pair of long johns I might have had for 4 years. You know, they're just so grateful for it, and I didn't even touch these things. You know, so um, that kind of just keeps me going a lot.
Yeah. Can we can we hit play on the video here?
Yeah. So I'm gonna share the audio. Um,
As you
just
do that,
giving a
Blake,
quick.
I want to just edify you.
Mhm.
It was amazing this summer to work with you and the internship. The high level of initiative and the willingness to learn by doing. It was really great. I can't wait till I get to shake your hand, meet you in person. You are truly an exemplary leader, and I just want to continue to lift up the work that you're doing. We need to find sponsorships, donations, and grants. We need to use our leverage as Consilience, as a partner, to bring those public-private partnerships to really bring what you're doing around homelessness to fruition. You've inspired me to give. You've inspired me to reach out to my own homeless community here. We're doing a lot around mental health in Sacramento, and I think at the national stage where you and I can interact is we can make a real difference. And I just think you are on a rocket ship to somewhere in your leadership journey that I just can't wait to see. So keep doing the good work. God is a blessing and a mantle on you, and I see it. And prophetic word, man, I'm following you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is the last segment. Probably gonna be my favorite segment. So this is a video that I came up with the idea with, and the Loving Lens media team was able to bring it to life. This is a video from the Philadelphia branch. We're in Kensington. So if you know anything about Philadelphia, Kensington is probably the worst part of Philadelphia. I know a lot of people talk about North Philly, but being from there, Kensington is definitely the worst. So uh, we did our first annual Thanksgiving drive, and we actually did it in partnership. One of our partners was actually the school that I was asked to leave from, the institution, from kindergarten. So that was kind of a full circle moment and a ha moment, I guess you could say. But I was grateful for that because we were able to set up bins within the school and have all these different clothing donations. So when we were out there, we were not shorthanded at all. And the last thing, I do want to shout out my brother, even though he probably won't see this. My brother Gary. Gary, he is the second half of the video. He was the first live performance we've ever had at a Loving Stone event. And Gary and I grew up and actually went to school in that institution, that old institution I was at. And we were always just real close. You know, we both played basketball. But Gary ended up, you know, growing up in Philly, he ended up having some setbacks that he didn't let set him back. Um, he was shot in his head. He was in and out of the hospital having seizures. But through that, he found music and he started to make music. But his music is of course it can be tweaked, it can be better with the delivery and the curse words and things of that sort. Yeah, that's a great point. But what music did is it saved him, and I got to watch that, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be able to show you all this because I've got to be one of the only two people that was ever around him after all those moments. So I'm excited that I not only have all the songs in his catalog, but also I can show this to you guys today. So we can start this off now.
It's going for us.
You guys can hear it okay?
Yep.
Thank you, bro. We spread love out here, big L's, not the little. Let's go. For sure. Trying to make it out with this shit. In real life. You heating up, lavish. Don't always be the shit you wanna. Looking back, yeah, but I was trying to be the role runner. Gon' get the green, they gon' look at you like you stole some. I know niggas scamming, they got cooking on my still. Yeah, this is man, and we just out there trying to kill something. I was taking all the quickest and stuff to get pissed off. You know the moment on the but I want you to be great shit. Can't get caught up in the mix and don't be with this type of shit. Niggas tell you smash it in your head, but just be biting shit. Niggas talking tough on Instagram and just be typing shit. They be trying to wrestle, but I don't think you can fight the good. Trying to get that rolling, but you nice with all this shiny shit. Other people go against they got it, no recycle shit. You can't rush it when you get it. It be all about that time and shit.
Well, that concludes the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciated coming to shed my light and share a little bit about who I am. I challenge all of you all to remember Lovingstone. Remember how it is different from other nonprofits. I also challenge you all to see how you guys can support Lovingstone. I would not put my all into something I don't fully believe in. I'm very logical with what I do. So I hope to see you all again, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Hey, Blake, do you have a contribution link?
Actually, if you come over here and click the nonprofit organization Clever Conference, it should open up a link to our website.
Perfect. Got it.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, Blake. Very inspirational. So now our grand finale, and last but not least, we have our helpful moderator, Jay.
Co-moderator.
Okay.
Okay. Let's head over here to this station. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all in person up there. So can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great. Great. Well, first I wanted to say thank you to the team at Consilience for putting this together. I think although we had a smaller population than we had hoped, I think it was a great first run at having an interactive metaverse conference and being able to have so many speakers, keeping people active, moving around inside the metaverse rather than just sitting on a webinar. I hope you all see the benefit in doing this type of interaction and communication. And as you can see, this is running on a website rather than a downloaded program. It's come leaps and bounds in terms of interactivity. Of course, the avatars still look a little, cartoony, but they're only going to get better from this point forward. So keep watching this space, this XR space. What I did here for the presentation is I did load up a video presentation. I just did a recording. I wasn't sure how it all was going to work out, so I just wanted to make sure it was on here as a recording. I was going last, so if we ran out of time, you could just download it, etc. But I'm going to go ahead and play this, and let's see, make sure that we can all hear it here. Let's see. Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
I don't have any audio, Jay. Am I alone in that?
No, I'm not hearing the audio either.
Oh, you're not hearing any audio on there?
No, it's dead silent.
Uh-oh. Thank you for letting me know. I'm hearing it fine on my side. Let me...
Oh, on the screen, there's a volume with a red X in the bottom right.
Yep. It shows on for me. Maybe each person needs to turn it
I
on?
think each person may need to select on Jay's screen to turn on the audio in the bottom right corner.
Okay.
Now I hear
Everybody
it.
could hear Blake's though, right? When it was playing?
Yeah, I heard Blake's.
Huh. Interesting.
So yeah, so Jay, I actually played the audio from my phone and lined it up with the video I had.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it wasn't. Yeah, because I was only able to hear my video, not everybody else.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, let's see if this works. If everybody hits the hit that volume button and see if that.
Yeah, that does work.
It doesn't? Okay.
It does.
Oh, it does. Okay. So everybody can hear it then. Well, having some issues with the video here. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna drop this out, and I will just speak. So, I don't want to take up too much of the time here. What I wanted to talk about today really was making sure that everybody understood all of the various aspects of what immersive learning is, and preparing for the next generation of learners that will be coming up in this space. What you didn't hear in the first couple of slides, Generation Alpha, they are the 14-year-olds roughly right now, and they're not just digital natives, they're digital expectants. They have come to us in our schools, our institutions. They have been engaged. Not only did they just have devices their entire time growing up, but their brains have changed. And like it or not, they take in information differently now than I did, than a lot of you did. There's been less reading. There's been more expectation of interaction, interactivity. And I don't think we can slow that down, especially with AI and XR making its way onto the scene. And so I think it's really important that we take that into account as we consider the next generation of learners. And that really leads me then into the literacy part. And I was really excited to have Rena here today with the eduvators, because the technology is moving ever faster than the people can keep up with it. And if we're expected to treat Generation Alpha at their speed of learning with multimedia, then we have got to get up to speed and know the tools out there being used for people to utilize, both in a company setting, in an educational setting, and to start interacting with the students in that way. But we've got to know ourselves. We've got to feel comfortable with the technology. I don't know how many of you ever had even seen Frame before getting into today's conference, or tried it out, or any of that. But this is one of many platforms that exist for this sort of interactivity. Frame is probably one of the most stable ones for WebGL, is what this is, where we're at. No downloadable program, set up a conference, go in, have all this interactive multimedia. But there are a few others here. And at the end of the conference, you can go check out another one of the ones that I think is probably at the top of the list through that portal there. You'll just click on that portal and you can head on into another one of those spaces. So in terms of immersive literacy, it's what we're seeing is virtual reality began way back, right? Big goggles, big machines. But what it did was really activate a different part in your brain. And the studies show that using immersive learning, you have almost 70% larger long-term memory retention because it's activating your medulla and you are in a new environment. And your brain takes in all that new information and stores it, rather than being bored and you're sitting looking at your phone in a class. That seems normal to you, especially to Generation Alpha. They've been doing this since they came to be. And so as we go forward and think about solutions, business solutions, change solutions, Kevin, thank you. That was great. Personalities, and how we can use these tools to bring people both together in a hybrid space, but also in a physical space. And I think going forward, connecting these two AI and XR spaces is going to be inevitable. It's not none of this is a fad. These two technologies are going to come together, especially when you can take a pair of AR glasses, put those on, activate them, and somebody else, like we're here in the frame, but somebody else is right here in the meeting room speaking with you. And we are in the early stage of all this adoption, and there is a lot that goes into it. So I guess that leads me to where I'm at, and I didn't do a full introduction of myself. So I'm CEO and a co-founder of VEDX. VEDX stands for Virtual Education Deployment and Exploration. We began in 2020. There were 5 of us working for an international education company and doing recruitment of students to come to the US and the UK. And we realized one of the biggest problems was a language barrier. Students that are taking English and studying for a test are not learning the language. They were learning how to take an ESL test. And we started experimenting in 2 areas, and that was in campus tours, which I'm sure you guys have all seen some immersive campus tours, and language acquisition. In our pilot programs, when we first got started, we did a pilot in Panama, a couple pilots in Panama. Students reported after 6 months, 25% more confident in speaking English because they were able to speak with avatars like we are here in this space. There wasn't this like rude or sometimes taken rude look at you. You could practice your speech and you were talking to an avatar. So it was like that third person speech. And that was really exciting. And so we kept going. And as we spoke with schools, educators, and corporate trainers, we realized the biggest deficit was content, and still is today. It's still in its infancy, but with builders like this that you're in and Frame and some other of our partners at VEDX, you can build anything really with no code. So our company expanded from that little pilot into this space. We partnered now with over 40 different partners across the world so that we can do a single system integration for a corporation or an institution. We can bring in headsets, or we can just do immersive stuff like this. We can moderate conferences, do trainings, etc. And so we've just been growing since then, and connecting with people like you, talking about change management and technology and how we bring people together. And it's been a super exciting journey. And so with that, I didn't have my video experiment did not work, but you have to try it and fail before you know what's actually going to work. So I want to thank everybody here today for coming. I hope that this has been a good experience for everyone, and that you keep trying Frame out. That link I sent you, for like $10 a month or something, you can have a space like this, not up to 300 people, but up to there. So with that, I'd love to open up the floor for any questions about immersive literacy and learning. Anybody?
No specific question.
Oh, go ahead.
Jay, I was just going to validate, and it was a good experience, and thank you for everything you did to help make it happen for all of us to be able to, for most of us to try it out for the first time. I agree with your hypothesis and the premise that this is where it needs to go, and that this is going to be far more engaging for our students and for ourselves. So just a note of thanks and gratitude.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Really appreciate that. Any other questions on this? Any skeptics out there in terms of this immersive learning? Feel free to be open. And any other comments or thoughts of collaboration in your own programs? No. Okay. Well, I guess with that, I will turn it back over to Deb. Go through that portal. You can check out another immersive learning space. It's hosted by Hyperspace. It's our little VEDX corporate office. It will soon be on our website so that you can enter into an immersive space in the HTML site. So I'm looking forward to that soon.
Thank you, Jay. And thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone. We were planning a conference in the metaverse, and then all of a sudden it got close, and we lost some people, and I had to get a fast lesson. And so
Debbie, I think you cut out.
So to work through this again, bigger and better goes.
Yep.
And thank everybody, everyone, thank you for taking out, you took out a big part of your day for this. And so definitely appreciate everybody taking part in all their work to make this possible.
Thank you, everybody. We really, really appreciate you for attending Clever 2025. We will be back next year, but stay connected to Consilience Collaborative. Join us in our collab, and we'll keep being the tip of spear. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Happy New Year. Thank you. Excellent working with all of you.
Happy New Year, everyone. Great job.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Signing off.